Looking at through the wall there, it looks like there's a hole that comes out the other side of your engine shed. Where does that go, Remy?
That's going in the garage for the fuel and everything on your side of the wall and on the layout.
So you have two locomotive facilities built into one sort of thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just go have a look at the other one.
No, it's true. Thanks. That's a good.
Ces arbres-là,
Yeah.
comment t'as fait ça?
Ça, c'est Scenic Express.
Ah, ok.
Les arbres de Scenic Express. Je les ai peinturés blancs. Puis Scenic Express, j'ai réussi à trouver le bon verre pour faire des boulots. Le Scenic Express, là, c'est 4 verres. Hein, Michel? C'est 4 verres dans un.
Ah, ok.
Puis tu fais rien que prendre du spray net, tu le saupoudres, tu remets du spray net par-dessus, puis
That's it.
that's it. Spring green, Martian green. Yeah, exactly.
I like the stuff for him and a flashing light on top of the switcher. Avec les antennes radio. Malheureusement, je n'ai pas amené Colin ici. If I would have brought Colin here, he'd be driving me freaking crazy now.
Oui, ça serait idéal.
Ah oui.
J'ai 4 stands restauranciers comme longueur. J'ai des vapeurs ou des points fixes. Pour aller au bord au garage, je passe par le même. Parce que j'ai pas de sortie.
So I'm here today with Remy, and we're at it looks like a Canadian national, Canadian type.
It's Ontario,
Ontario?
Subdivision.
Okay, so what else does it include?
What else? The layout's going from Toronto to Hearst.
Yeah.
And we got Norbay, you got Sudbury, you got Barrie, and you got Hearst.
So you have Ontario Northlands obviously built into it as well, eh?
Exactly.
Now the railroad idea that how did you come up with it? What was it based on?
I used to live in northern Ontario.
Yes.
So most of the guys are doing CNCP. They're going Toronto or Montreal or East. Nobody's doing modeling in northern Ontario, so that's what I did.
Well, that's pretty nice. When did you start working on this layout?
It's my third layout on this room. The room's about 30 by 25.
Yes.
And it's my third layout in 15 years. So my first one was only single main line, and I ripped it off. Didn't like it. Didn't like the layout. Redoing it. And the second one I didn't have, when I started to do operation, it was only a runner one. The train was running and I get bored. And I tried operation, so I modified the layout to do operation.
Well, you sure have developed a lot of skills in the last while. I was looking and admiring the detail of the scenery. When did you get started to get interested in things like model structures and the like?
When I was a kid, I used to do a lot of modeling cars, model, and modeling train is the best world in both of them. So yeah, that's my force. I like to do modeling kit batching, doing engine.
Right. I noticed this cement plant is quite interesting because it's built on a flat.
Yep.
And yet it's got some dimension on it, and it looks like it's created from several kits.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you give me a bit of a description?
You got a Keebler kit here. Yeah. You got a Walter kit. That's all scratch built. You got a small Keedy kit right here.
Yeah.
That's Walter belt. But the rest it's all scratch built.
That's very interesting. Now, did you use that from a prototype or something that was just in your imagination?
No, it was a prototype. I took some picture, and I didn't know what to do right away, right there.
Yeah. And
I was thinking about multiply is different industry.
Yes.
And I came up with that plan.
Well, that's quite effective. And I noticed that there's a switchback in there too, so it demands a little bit of runaround, a little bit of fancy track work in a small area.
Exactly. When you come from Toronto with that load, usually you're about 5 or 6 car plus a caboose.
Yes.
And since 2 years, I never see a guy doing it exactly the same way, both same time. Yeah. They push a car, they bring back the car, because to change car from team track to take those cars from the dust, you gotta make sure those cars are not there, because it doesn't pass. So
yeah. I noticed down in the front here you've got some good winter. I guess modern details, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so these are heaters for the switch stands?
Yep.
And what happened with that? Is that something you scratch built?
Beginning, it's scratch built, and I give it to one of my buddy, and he's got a 3D printer. Yes. And he did copies.
Oh, very nice. So, what are those copies available now commercially? Now that they're made?
Yep. The GLX.
Through GLX models. Eh?
Exactly.
And they're based on a Canadian National prototype?
Exactly.
Wow, they're quite detailed. How many parts are they? Is it all a single mold?
They're all single mold.
Really, eh?
Exactly. So, it's one mold.
So even the basic modeler can put that together pretty quick.
Exactly.
I noticed there's a lot of weathering on your locomotives. You really have done a nice job with those.
Thanks.
On the other side of the layout, we were looking at your roundhouse, and it was going through the gyprock wall.
Exactly.
Where does it come out on the other side exactly here?
It's starting, that's the garage on the yard side. So before the guys start work, they're building their engine on the turntable on your side.
Yes. And
when everything's done, they transfer the engine on this side.
Yeah.
And after when the loads are ready, they're picking up their caboose, hook the caboose to the train.
Yeah.
Hook their engine, and they leave with the paperwork.
So from a modeling perspective, you have a roundhouse on the other side. So literally one of the stalls in the roundhouse comes through the wall.
Exactly.
And out through this facility.
Yep.
And so for operational purposes, people put their strings of locomotives together on the other side.
Exactly.
Pull them through here, they get their fuel and their sand, and then they go out and get their train on the CN yard.
Exactly.
Now this tower is quite interesting here. Is that a scratch build?
No, that's a Keebler.
A Keebler kit. Well, It really seems to fit well in the modern scheme of things. And this is the Toronto yard?
Yep. Usually when we're doing a train operation, we got a yard master.
Yes. It's quite loaded. It's a busy yard. How many, what's the capacity roughly in here, or cars in that yard, do you know?
Honestly, no.
But a lot.
A lot.
So
but the yard's 14 foot long.
Yeah. So when you're running trains here, what are the typical lengths of the trains?
Usually they're between 6 and 8 cars.
Remy, can you tell me a little bit about the operating concept of what happens during op session here? What is the main focus of what your engineers do and the like?
They have. I'm running with JMRI.
Yeah.
And we're printing paperwork. And when the yardmaster builds the train, when the train's ready and everything's ready, the yardmaster gives the bills to the team, and the team leaves to do their job. I got 7 different routes. From those routes, they're delivering pickup and drops to the customers and everything.
Okay, so it's kind of like way freights that come out.
Exactly.
All right, so along the line they do pickups and drops and local moves.
Exactly.
Okay, and is it a car card system or is it?
No, it's only a sheet. It's
like train orders.
Train order, yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. Now, all of the scenery, it's pretty much done now, eh? Or you still got projects that you're working on?
Oh, I got fine details.
Yeah, so you want to make it even more and more detailed.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, show me some of your gems. So Remy, you've done a lot of super detailing now that you've got the main scenery part out of the way. Give us an idea of some of the things that you've decided to work on.
Well, I decided to work on derailleurs.
Okay.
You know, if the operator's got to move the derailleurs, so you got derailleurs up and down.
Okay, so how does that work?
It's only a small part of printed 3D.
Yes.
And we printed 3D as some derailleur with, and it's flipping by itself. So when the cars come out, it worked. It
derails the train.
It derail only one wheels.
Yeah.
And when you put it back and you flip it over, and it's free.
Ah, okay.
So the operator, when he's going to an industry, he's got to flip it. Wow. And it's more challenging for the operator.
To remember.
Exactly. Another stuff to do, and he's got flag. Depends if the flag's there or not. He's got flag to remove.
Okay.
If you
Let me have a look at that there.
If you got a small flag right here.
Yes.
If the flag's on, he cannot pick up those cars. You need an approve from the company if somebody's still in the shop.
Mm-hmm. So to attach to the rail, what sort of
No,
device?
it's only on top of it.
Okay. What's it, a magnet or something?
No, it's only that blue. It's only stick it to it.
Oh, it's like the stuff that they use, like a putty?
A putty for the paperwork.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, so there's a little chunk of putty on the bottom and it just sticks on the rail.
Exactly.
Nice. Well, this loading facility for the tank car is kind of interesting. Is that something that you scratch built or made yourself?
No, it's Walter. It's a Walter kit, but the Walter kit, the only problem is it's only on one way. All the stairs are on the one way. I got to modify it to do the stairs face to face.
I see. Okay. Okay, so here's quite an interesting structure. It's quite large. It looks like, again, it's made up of components from kits.
Yep.
What have you got in this kit?
I got a Rick's product silo, and I got those Walter co-op plus the elevator. Got all the docks and everything, all those detail, mailbox, garbage can.
It's quite interesting when you look at the kits. A lot of what you've done that's really made it fantastic is the painting.
Exactly.
It's sort of the color scheme. There's nothing that's left as bare plastic.
No, exactly. Everything's got to be paint.
Huh.
Bring life to the kit.
Yes. Yeah, because if you don't use paint, then it doesn't fit in with everything else you're doing.
Exactly.
It has a shine to it. And
exactly.
So on and so forth.
If you put lighting inside of it, you're gonna see right away.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very good. I noticed that your forests are quite dense and a variety of trees. What kind of products did you use in that?
Usually, that's all trees by Scenic Express. I'm using different turf, and the rest it's all pine. I did myself. It's all with the rope and everything.
Yeah, so you used a wire and a drill.
Wire and a rope.
Yeah, well, that's good. Exactly. Lots of varieties of color, I guess Woodland Scenic's material and that sort of thing in ground foams.
Exactly, I'm using, that's it, Walter, Scenic Express, Woodland Scenic.
It's something else. Wow. So how did you get involved in model railroading? Where did that come from?
Honestly, I don't know. Well, it's kind of weird because my dad was in the army, so no clue.
It was something that you saw one day and it just appealed to you.
Exactly.
Notice here that kind of really impresses me is the vertical rock faces and the colors in it. These are obviously something that you picked up. Did you learn how to do that from somebody, or?
No, I did it all by myself.
You did, eh?
Yeah, I mixed some few different colors of paint. And I did my wash to make sure all the rocks, you see all the details of the rocks. I did some ink, Chinese ink, to the black of the Chinese ink give more life, more realistic to the rocks.
You also put some soils on it as well, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Now the vertical dimension part of it's really kind of interesting because there's some stone abutments as well. How did you get the inspiration to do all of that?
Well, it's a real place.
Yeah?
It's a real place. I took it by a book.
Yes.
And you got that retaining wall right before the tunnel.
Yeah.
And what's funny of it, that's you can cut the grade of your you cut the scenery from one side to another side of the walls.
Yeah.
And it cut even the grade. If your grade it's more than 2%. At least if you got a small tunnel like that, you got only 1% on one side and the other percent on your side.
Wow.
So you don't see it's not only one shot.
Right. Now this crossover bridge kind of reminds me of a Cisco scene.
Exactly.
So you got the one train running over and crossing over and the other one on top.
Exactly. You got my main lanes on the bottom and my branch lane on top. Plus you got the wall to fall.
Here again you got the rugged scenery, and I noticed that there's a waterway here with a huge waterfall.
Yep.
That's kind of nice.
Thanks.
And it drops down into a campsite.
Exactly.
I think it's the kind of place that I'd like to go camping, with a double-track train bridge coming over the top.
It's kind of noisy when you sleep.
Water on one side and trains on the other, eh?
Exactly.
Wow, this is really something. I hear the sounds of trains.
The front there? No, on the roof of the cab.
Somewhere here, there's trains coming. Ah, there we are.
La même chose, la même technique. Là, tu vois, je me fais du boulot.
C'est facile. Regarde, pour faire tes...
Ouais, j'ai vu ça.
Ça, c'est des tests d'urine. Ma femme est infirmière en fait. C'est des tests d'urine. Ça, c'est des kits que Belle avait pour faire les gros fils. Non, mais tu vas chez les magasins.
Railroad paraphernalia here. That clock is kind of interesting.
Yes, it is.
What's the story behind that?
What is the story? My wife gave it to me because I was passing too much time in the basement.
Yes.
She wanted to make sure I'm not losing the time.
So that you know when it's time to come to bed. Does the bell ring or something? Or
no, but when she says time for supper, it's time for supper.
And I noticed that you have a shelf here that's full of locomotives and
a trophy.
Your trophy case, eh?
Exactly.
No longer on the layout, or soon will be in the future? Or?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's interchange. They're going on the layout sometime and changing them.
Well, that's kind of nice. And then here you've got a bit of thing.
Yeah.
Some stuff you found on the ground near the railroad tracks.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. Nice brass caboose?
No, it's all True Line.
Wow, they're very nice quality. And of course, there's the famous truck.
Exactly.
Wow. And the rail?
Yep.
That's quite
piece of rail.
Yeah. And then as I look down here, I can't believe this. There's always something that's unusual in the layout room. That's a double twin beam headlight.
It's a headlight. It's a Jeep. It's a Jeep 9, Jeep 38 headlight.
Yeah, and that fell off a CN locomotive.
Yeah, exactly.
My gosh.
It's
Absolutely fantastic. Wow, look at this. What in the world is that? It's as shiny as can be. I don't think I've seen a bell that shiny before. What's the story behind the bell?
It's one of my buddy who used to have it.
Yeah.
And he died.
Yeah.
And his wife told me the bell needed a good home.
Yeah, and what is it from?
It's from a Jeep 38.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yep.
So instead of just the big going thing to do a thing, you can snack the whole thing.
Exactly. So what I did is I prime it, I clean it, and I change the light bulb for a Jeep Renegade. You know what?
Really?
You know the light bulb, you give it to me? Yeah. I went to the dealership, and the guy says, $500 for two. I said, are you out of your mind? It's only for a showcase.
Yeah.
And he told me, he says, okay, I got Jubber, $300. My brother went, that was on plastic. My brother went to on eBay. He says,